Welcome to the world of nightmarish stories, where reality merges with darkness and horror. In our new video, we will dive into the heart of an alarming and terrible event. The story begins in an abandoned mansion, which is considered a cursed place. People say that sinister shadows and ghosts live there, which incite nightmares and horror to all who dare to enter its dark walls. One brave researcher decides to investigate these rumors and find out the truth. With the help of a flashlight, he walks along an overgrown path that leads to the mansion. Darkness and gloomy shadows surround it, creating an ominous atmosphere. Approaching the mansion, he hears whispers and strange sounds coming from the depths of the abandoned building. He feels a cold shiver run down his spine, but decides not to stop. Entering the mansion, the researcher discovers stunning views of destruction and desolation. Cobwebs cover every corner, and the walls rise in the darkness, as if testifying to the old horror that existed here. As he moves deeper inside, the whispering shadows begin to come to life. They become more and more visible, haunting him and filling his soul with terror. Rustles and curses fill the air, creating a silent horror. Each step brings a new wave of paranormal phenomena that surround the researcher. He sees ghostly figures, hears vague footsteps and feels breath on his neck. Fear squeezes his heart, and the hope of salvation fades. The mansion becomes a trap from which there is no way back. The researcher plunges deeper into the world of the unknown and mystical. Abandoned rooms and corridors come to life, as if cursed souls are hungry for revenge. Suddenly, the whispers become louder, and shadows begin to incarnate before the eyes of the researcher. He hears voices spoken in an incomprehensible language, and feels cold hands that pull him into the darkness. The researcher tries to resist the forces of evil, but the further he moves, the stronger they become. Suddenly, he notices a door that stands out from the rest. This door seems unusual and suggests that it may be the key to the exit. The researcher's heart is pounding with excitement, but hope flashes in his eyes. He goes to the door and with trepidation inserts the key he found earlier. The door slowly opens, and a room shrouded in mystical light appears in front of him. The researcher enters the room and sees that there is an ancient altar in the center. On the altar is an old book with mysterious symbols on the cover. He understands that this book contains the key to solving the mystery of the mansion and salvation. With trepidation, the researcher opens the book and begins to study its pages. Suddenly, he discovers a ritual that, according to legend, can banish sinister shadows and free the cursed place. He decides to take a chance and perform this ritual, hoping that it will lead to the end of the nightmare. While the researcher is preparing for the ritual, an old man suddenly appears in front of him. His eyes are full of evil, and the smile on his face causes goosebumps. The old man reveals his true intentions and admits that he was the source of all the nightmares and horrors that the researcher experienced in the mansion. It turns out that the old man has been abducting people for many years to perform his dark rituals and quench his thirst for evil. He chose abandoned places to remain unnoticed, and the mansion became the perfect place for his villainous plans. The forces of evil that the researcher felt in the mansion were the result of magic that the old man used to manipulate and frighten his victims. He laughs angrily, realizing that the researcher was just a pawn in his cruel game. The researcher feels anger and determination in his heart. He understands that he must confront the old man and free not only himself, but also all the other prisoners that the old man keeps in the mansion. Suddenly, the researcher realizes that he has fallen into the trap of the old man. All his attempts at resistance are useless, and the old man only enjoys his suffering. He uses excruciating tortures and frightening methods to break the researcher and satisfy his thirst for evil. The researcher feels that his hope of salvation is fading, and the gloomy aura of the mansion is only getting stronger. He plunges into a world of torment and nightmares, which the old man carefully builds. The old man continues his cruel tortures, subjecting the researcher to unimaginable suffering. He uses various tools and methods of torture to break his will and achieve complete submission. The researcher feels pain, fear and despair, but refuses to give up. He clenches his teeth and resists persistently, despite all the horrors that surround him. His eyes are burning with determination and desire to defeat the evil that the old man exudes. As the torture continues, the researcher begins to notice a certain weakness in the old man. He notices that the old man, although trying to maintain his strength and power, is beginning to show signs of fatigue. The researcher feels pain and weakness from the old man's blows, but his determination does not weaken. He decides to use the old man's weakness to his advantage. Concentrating and gathering all his strength, the researcher quickly assesses the situation and acts. At the moment when the old man is enjoying his victory and laughing loudly, the researcher suddenly and unexpectedly jumps on him, using his last energy. The old man does not have time to react and loses his balance, falling to the floor. The researcher does not waste time and quickly frees himself from the fetters that hold him captive. He gathers all his remaining strength and runs out of the torture room, heading for the exit of the mansion. The old man, stunned and underestimating his prisoner, tries to catch up with the researcher. He shouts curses and threats, but his powers as a seeker are running out, and the researcher continues to run faster and faster. The researcher, exhausted, reaches the police station and hurriedly tells about his terrible experience and the tortures he endured in the mansion. The police listen carefully to him and accept his statement. Investigators begin an immediate investigation aimed at capturing the old man and releasing all prisoners who may be in the mansion. The researcher cooperates with the police, providing them with any information he remembers about the place and the ways the old man used for his dark rituals. Soon, the police raid the mansion, discovering the terrible secrets that were hidden there. They find other prisoners who suffered from the atrocities of the old man, and immediately provide them with assistance and medical care. The old man eventually falls into the hands of the police. He resists arrest, but his weak, emaciated body cannot resist the police. He will stand trial and be held accountable for his crimes. The researcher, although he has experienced unimaginable suffering, feels relieved and hopeful. He knows that his testimony helped bring the villain to justice and free others from his terrible tortures. He also understands that his survival and struggle have become an inspiration for others not to succumb to evil and always resist. The researcher will continue his life, but he will never forget his nightmarish experience and those who suffered from the old man. He strives to help other victims and teach society how to resist evil and prevent similar horrors in the future. Subscribe to our channel and follow further fascinating stories. We will be glad to share new and exciting adventures that unfold before the eyes of the researcher. Do not miss the opportunity to plunge into the world of mysticism, adventure and exciting turns of events. Subscribe to keep up to date with all our new stories. Until we meet again, I will be glad if you tell your friends about our channel.